All right, so this is a deep dive into the review apps product area. Review apps are actually one of the really cool features that most impressed me at first when it came to GitLab CI/CD. Um, the only place that I've ever seen any environment automatically get spun up like this is on Heroku when I was using that to make little apps for myself. Um, and it just is a killer feature, really. It's I couldn't live without them in our www.gitlab.com project, where we are reviewing, changes to our website. Even you can even get a fully loaded not development environment, but like a deployed to environment in a merge request. In most cases for GitLab CE, or which I guess is just GitLab now. And so it's really, really nice. It just makes it so much easier than getting a GDK yourself and installing it, or installing middleman and all the dependencies locally and spinning everything up. It keeps your laptop fan from spinning out of control and your computer taking off of your desk as well, which is nice. Yeah, it's just a really nice feature, and it fits in overall with the progressive delivery idea, where you want to give teams a lot of different ways to progressively roll out changes to different kinds of users, validate that they're working. Now, review apps would be even before you go to like a staging environment, or even before a incremental rollout, things like that. But it's one way that you can have like essentially what we used to call a UAT environment that's easy for everyone to access and use.
Review apps is basically for websites, right? It's not going to deploy some kind of other kind of code, right?
No, that's not true. It's a framework that can deploy anything. It's easier to get up and running probably with just a simple website, because you're deploying like static files onto and I think you mean static website probably even more so, but it's easier to deploy just a bunch of files on a file server somewhere, and then do some special mapping to make the URLs work. But like I said, we deploy GitLab using review apps as well, and that works. And that's a full multi-component application that needs test data and everything in order to work. So all of that is wired in.
At the moment, they can deploy everything, like even, let's say, an Android app.
Well, you can deploy anything that you can deploy by hand, maybe is a way to put it. If you have a Android testing environment that you deploy to in any other means, or that you deploy to.
Emulator. If I deploy it to an emulator, it should work.
Yeah. You can do that. It's just it's automation that runs on the back end, and then at the end it essentially returns a URL that then somebody can access it. So it can really be anything happening there. But yeah, I don't think an Android use case is well documented. You'd run into some problems that you. It's on the Vision, yeah. You'd run into some problems where you need like a web version of the emulator, so that you can then access it via a URL, which I believe exists actually, and that research is also on the roadmap. But yeah, it's mainly for web servers, web applications, and things like that, or things that can be tested in that way. All right, so there's an issue list with the backlog of items for review apps, which is not too long. This is not working. Did we rename this category?
No, we opened an issue to fix this, because it works if you remove the category. There's an issue on the quality team at the moment. Or maybe not.
Oh, it's a lowercase a.
I'll fix that.
We can actually fix that right now. So GitLab.org -label. Ta-da.
Did that automatically change everything?
Uh-huh. It just changed the way the name is displayed.
Okay.
So now if we do this, it should work. Yep. Okay. Yeah, so 41 issues in the backlog. Not too many. We can take a look at a couple of the most popular ones. These probably, we'll come across them in the vision, hopefully, as well. Expiration times for environments, yeah, that's being worked on. Cleaning up stale environments, yep. And then truly dynamic environment URLs, which exciting. We have scheduled for 12.5. This is giving people more control over how the URL is generated,
Yeah.
which is nice for certain use cases.
If you go back to the cleanup environments, that's actually one of the reasons I wanted this deep dive, because it's very confusing to me.
Sure. There's a few related issues here.
Environments versus review app environments. In my mind, review apps are short-lived because they're related to the branch, and the environments is, an environment where you actually deploy to, and should probably not die.
Yes, that's true. But there are, so the cleaning up ephemeral environments is about, I can show you here the problem, or at least it used to be here. Maybe somebody's fixed it. Yes, there's 3,729 review apps running on www.gitlab.com.
So these environments are only review apps, or are they all the environments, including the review apps?
So this 3,729 is only the review apps.
And how do you see like the production or the staging or the testing or whatever environment that's not a review app?
It's these two. This is a subfolder called review, and then there's 3729 plus 12 is 3731. So a lot of teams have this problem where branches are created, then abandoned, and then these review environments just kind of sit out there. And so we have all those issues that are about cleaning up environments that are really being caused by the review apps feature.
Besides the differentiation that the review apps are under the review folder, is there any way to know the difference between a review app?
I don't know, actually. I don't.
Because on those issues, we are not solving the problem only for review apps. We're solving for all environments.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the corner cases is that we don't want people to be deleting production.
Yep.
So, or staging, it doesn't really matter. Any one of the really important environments. So the question is there any way to differentiate and then have a safety net in order not to delete something that's not a review app?
Yeah, there's a couple safety nets. Like one is that the production environment and probably staging environment would never have like a job written by somebody to delete it. There's no like nobody goes and writes like a cleanup production job that even could be run that would go delete everything and turn the lights off on its way out.
Someone may make a mistake in the code in the script that does that, and oops.
Possible, but the way review apps work feels pretty unlikely. These would all have like a cleanup review job. Mm-hmm. I don't know if, yeah, maybe there's some attribute on these that says they were created by a review app. But maybe one way you could do it is just like only process some things in the review folder, or have an option to only process things in the review folder.
Okay.
That could be pretty reasonable. Yeah. But yeah, I get that you don't want people accidentally cleaning up their staging and production environment.
Well, they may want to delete that, but that's a different case.
Yeah.
So at the moment, what we decided to do is to allow you to first stop an environment and then delete it, and not to do it in one shot, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. That's better than what we have today. But then I guess people will just ask, like, why do you make me click twice? If they would just make the same mistake twice.
Well, our logic behind it was if you're mass deleting your environments, you may have an environment that's really important. And let's say production,
Yeah.
you don't want to delete. So if you stop it, you'd probably notice it before the deletion. And then
Maybe.
you have a way
Unless
to.
somebody just does 2 steps, it's because you made it 2 steps long and they just do one right after the other.
Well, that's on them.
Yeah. It's probably what most people would do, though.
No, you also have a warning when you try to delete something that has active deployments. That there's active, like, stop your deployments first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's this problem that people are asking to have solved, and that's why these have the review apps label.
Okay.
Yep. The first class review apps one, I don't know what's in there, but you can take a look. Yeah, we touch on this elsewhere. This is sort of a meta. Oh yeah, it is meta. It just has a list of things that would be nice to improve. The cleanout job is ugly in the pipeline.
Well, some of them are being addressed.
Yeah, some of them are, we have separate issues for now. So it might be good to actually just review this issue, find the issues that that already exist, create issues for any that don't, and then just remove this. Just close it. But some nice ideas in there. Overall vision just links back to CI/CD, UX research and documentation. All right, so what we're doing next, yeah. These are your 3 items to add. The cleanup helps solve the problem we just talked about. The maturity plan is to add that to support the truly dynamic environment URLs, which is your most popular customer issue. And then we do list here the first class review apps, which I don't think that, I probably added this at some point in order just to, like, as a reminder to myself to then go deal with that meta issue and turn it into the issues that it needs to be turned into. But at some point you should do the same thing where you figure out what's actually required from this first class review apps meta issue and put that here. Because probably not all of those things are required that are mentioned there in order to get to complete. But it is nice, yeah, it's a good feature and just doesn't need too much more to get to be completed. One of the big advantages is Heroku review apps over ours that's easier to get set up and running. Yeah, they also recently added like a deploy to Heroku button, which you can embed on yeah, you could embed like on any project documentation page. And when you click on this button, it deploys your website to Heroku. This is sort of a tangent for review apps, but it would be cool if you could, like, you know, one button see a review app or something like that. But
there is a button, and once you finish your merge request, you have, you know, a button that says review app. Open the review app.
No, but like imagine, yeah, if you create a merge request with a change, then you can get an environment. But imagine you forked a project. Yeah, imagine you forked a project and then it came with this in the documentation in the readme.md, and you could just click on it and it would fire up a review app as is. That could be kind of cool.
Okay.
And then there's this issue. It's a button-oriented one as well. Oh yeah, so a lot of figuring out what to do for a review app, especially when you're using containers, can be pretty much the exact same thing in every case. So configuring GKE, auto-editing your GitLab CI YAML to add the right boilerplate there or add the right includes, and do it all just in one button. That would be a super cool onboarding thing. And this would work for any containerized application. So not just a website. Yeah, and here's kind of like the things it needs to do. It would need to edit the YAML, use a cluster if there's one configured, create a cluster if it's needed, configure a static IP, let's encrypt in DNS, And we built up a lot of this stuff recently on Pages, on the Pages side, so maybe we can leverage some of the same stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, it would be cool. Very, very cool to have this. And since most teams are, excuse me, most development teams are, the output of their CI pipeline these days is a Docker container. It's a very natural handoff point. And you would reach a lot of customers in this way.
Yeah, it would also help with CD,
Yeah.
being easier.
Yep. This might be something you replace with this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Top customer success sales issues. Looks like expiration for review apps so that you don't end up with thousands of them, and then cleaning up the thousands that you've already got. So yeah, those really are the top customer issues. And then, yeah, again, setting an expiration date. I don't know why we have this weird indentation here, but
I'll fix it when I work on the vision page.
yeah, it's not a big deal. Internal customer issue. I saw this in the list there. I don't know really. This might be open 6 months ago.
Wow, look at all the tags of the personas.
This is actually a P2 issue now, it looks like. Darby upgraded it to a P2 bug. So this really doesn't go on the vision. Other than, I mean, it's fine if it's on the vision, but this should get scheduled. And it is, I guess, for 12.7, although since it's a P2, we might want to do it sooner than that.
Yeah, we're working, we're very focused on P2 bugs at the moment. And
yeah.
we've done a really, really good job in bringing them down. We're in a single digit number of bugs, so we're very happy about that.
Yeah, interesting one. It may be a cluster of issues, hard to say. But that would be a good one to prioritize and bring forward if possible. And then the vision is to bring review apps to mobile workflows. Yeah, that makes sense. The other one we were talking about with the button is probably a good candidate for vision as well. Mm-hmm. But it's fine that it's laid out in this way. But yeah, bringing it to Android and iOS emulators that are web-based would be super, super cool. Android probably already has this because it has more of an open source ecosystem, and there's probably something out there that you can do this with already.
So Google actually has an emulator. I've worked with it before. But there are like a bunch of legal terms and conditions that you need to approve. So I don't know, is that something we need to take with legal?
Yeah. Though a lot of times, like, it's just the customer pointing to their own instance in that case. And it's their own things that they've already agreed to, and all we're doing is deploying to their Android environment that they, like, we wouldn't be provisioning an environment for them. We would just be supporting the kind of process. But I did see this company recently run native mobile apps in your browser, which could be really, really interesting. It might be interesting to look into this product, and there could be a potential partnership or something here.
Is it an open source?
No, it isn't, I don't think. It's a commercial product.
So I've used Memu in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You familiar?
No. But yeah, maybe there's other solutions out there. This is the one that I found, but this looks like it's exactly the thing we need in order to implement review apps for mobile.
Okay.
But yeah. Yeah, so there's a review apps as a category that I think could really do some really cool things with some love as well. It's a little bit more established, but it's really unique to GitLab, and I feel like sometimes we take it for granted just because we're all used to the daily workflow that we have here, but other solutions don't have this. And one of the biggest gaps, I guess, is making it easy to get set up and running, because if you don't know about review apps and you're not thinking about it, you don't really realize how much of a game changer it can be. But if we have that button and we explain what it is, then once you start using it, you never want to go anywhere that doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
Yeah. Agreed. Any other questions?
Can we go back to the environments page and talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
So again, the biggest difference is that the review apps are inside the folder, but
Mm-hmm.
basically they look exactly the same as any other environment.
Well, I don't know what they look like in the system. Um, like in this view here, they look really similar. The job name is different, but that's not something that I think is like reliable. They have this drop down here. So you can see, actually, yeah, so that's one key difference here is like there is no stop production job. There's no stop staging job.
What's the red button at on the right-hand side then?
I think it will, I don't know what that will do. But there isn't.
That's what it said.
It does say stop environment, but there isn't a job that will do it. So I don't know what clicking on that button will do. And that's actually a good question to ask somebody. I'm not going to test it out on this project. But I suspect that it will do nothing. It will, or that it will remove this environment from the list, but not actually stop anything. Actually, that's what I suspect that it will do. I suspect this is more like a trash can, is what this really does.
It's not deleting, it's just stopping.
Well, it's deleting the entry from the list. Because all this is like a pointer to a URL at its core, right? There's nothing like these deployments aren't running inside of GitLab. So there's two things that need to happen for GitLab to stop an environment. It needs to run some job that's designated as the one that does the things that are actually needed to do to stop the environment and decommission it. And then there's remove it from this list. And so I suspect that what this button really is, this red one over here, is run the stop job if there is one, and then remove it from this list. So what it would do if you deleted production is it would not run any stop job because there isn't one. Your production environment would remain up and running because there's nothing that goes out and runs a job that like deletes everything and turns anything off. And it would disappear from this list. And then the next time you deployed to production, it would just reappear. I suspect that's what's happening on the back end, but that would be good to validate with an engineer. We could also test it out in like in a different project.
Like not on GitLab.com.
Like not on GitLab.com. Exactly. But I would be surprised if that's not what was happening. So yeah, that is one difference, is that there's a job called review_stop. And I don't know if that's a requirement of review apps, that you have a job called review_stop, in which case then you have a check you can make. You could say, this will only run on environments that have a review_stop job. And then you know you're only working with review environments at that point. But I do honestly think that maybe just saying I want to only operate on things in the review folder is maybe also sufficient.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm not sure. We'd have to look at the review apps docs. And see how to set them up. Set up a job that uses predefined. Optionally set a job that manually stops review apps. Yeah, it's something to research for sure. You're aware of visual reviews as well? We should probably link to that from the review apps.
Visual reviews we talked about when I was interim for the testing stage.
Right.
So this is something that you can comment through the diffs when you do a review app, right?
Exactly. Like you can go to a review app and you'll get a little panel that you can open to add comments that come back to the MR that you're talking about, which is really, really cool. We should definitely mention that on the
Vision page.
On the vision page for review apps and say, this is part of the testing workflow, but if you're interested in review apps, this is relevant. Cool, I'll stop recording.